Welcome to some Devos that we've been setting your way this week, and we are looking at the subject of what's in a name. There's quite a bit, actually, especially if we're looking at the names of God. There's more in a name than most of us realize, especially when we compare how names are used in the Bible compared to the way that we use names right now in our culture. If you look at God and you examine the way that he chose to reveal himself progressively through the Old Testament, you're going to see that he allows himself to be called and even calls himself by certain names. One of the recorded names is one of the most popular ones and one of the most sacred ones. In fact, this name is so sacred that the ancient writers of the scriptures that would translate the scriptures and that would, rewrite them and copy them, they would omit certain letters because they believed this name was so sacred. And you might already know what it is. It's Yahweh or Jehovah. And the implication of Yahweh or Jehovah is this always independently existing creature. I think every kid asks this, and my son asked this not too long ago when we were talking about God. He came home from church and he said, "Daddy, who made God?" And we almost have a tendency to want to know God's origin story, right? Like, where did God come from? Like, did God come from space? Was God created somewhere else and then God created us? No. This name of God implies that he always was. There was no creator of him because he created all things. There was no origin of God because God always existed. Everything that we see that exists as a result of his desire to make it come to pass. So when we think of this name, what comes to mind is this name Jehovah or Yahweh. And Yahweh means always independently existing. An example of when this took place was that when this name was revealed, takes precedence in Exodus. When Moses is being spoken to by God, when God appears to him in that burning bush, Moses is afraid to listen to what God is telling him to do because God is telling Moses to go and take on the Pharaoh of Egypt and rescue his people from slavery. And Moses is like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on my own. I mean, I kind of am going to need a little bit more credibility from you here. I mean, I know I see you. I know the bushes don't normally burn and talk like this. However, can you write a note? I mean, how are people going to know? So look at the conversation here between Moses and God. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 13 through 14, it said, Moses said to God, "If I come to the people of Israel and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' What am I even going to say to them? Like, who is this God?" And this is what God said to Moses: "I am who I am. I am Yahweh. I am Jehovah. You tell them I have always existed. The name that they need to know is the God of I am." Jesus refers to this name several times through the Gospel of John. It's a whole other story. And when I've taught the Gospel of John verse by verse, Jesus refers to this title of God more than many others. But I am means that always independently existing. If you want to know who the name is God, the always existing one. And what's amazing about this, when we think of God, is that we have to realize that this is the God that we worship, that he is that faithful, he is that consistent. He's never been created, he's not made by human hands, he's always been, and he's always been there. Always, and he always will be. He is eternal. He is faithful, the same yesterday, today, and for always. He is God. He is. I am that I am. So, when you are tempted to pray small, when you are tempted to look at your life and kind of examine the situation that you're in and think, I don't know. I mean, boy, I really got myself in a mess here. I really find myself in a lot of discouragement. I find myself losing hope. I want you to realize you're praying to the God who's always been. You're praying to the God that created all things. If there's anyone that you could turn to give you hope, it's him. It's always him. It always has been him because he always was.